Years ago, when first I moved with my family to the countryside of Prince Edward Island, I do the long view down the field behind our house to the bay, the blue water, the pale green fields, the red cliffs carved into the shoreside hills, the occasional crisp white cruise ship, yes, indeed, that used to happen, and gleaming in the late afternoon light, and even the head of a seal popping up now and again, as a couple of them did this morning. Those things were easy to get used to, but something was to the evening knock at the door. It was a leftover, I think, from the days when country people had no one else to rely on but each other, and no other entertainment during the evening, the long quiet evenings, besides a visit with neighbors over a steaming pot of tea. In those days, a drop-in visit was quite welcome. But my husband and I were in stacks of essays, often into the desperate wee hours as the foxes barked somewhere out in the darkness. So to me, it was not only a surprise, but almost a disaster if a friendly neighbor happened by for a little chat, a leisurely chat. It took a while to adapt to island ways and to learn to be a friendly and hospitable neighbor, too. Hospitable than I was when Nicodemus came knocking. As a Pharisee and religious leader, Nicodemus is someone who ought to be in the know, but who does not know. All his scriptural and liturgical knowledge have not prepared him to understand Jesus. He comes at night, and indeed, he himself is breaking ranks with his fellow Pharisees, going out on a limb when he gropes his way toward Jesus. Yet he comes. He comes and he knocks, and Jesus answers. Jesus opens the door to him and sits across from him and lets him ask his awkward and ill-formed questions, or maybe even knee to knee, the tiny flame of an oil lamp flickering over their faces. Shy Nicodemus musters all of the knowledge at his disposal as he tries to grasp with his feeble human mind who it is who is sitting before him. "We know," he says, "that you are a teacher who has come from God." What he and his shows. And yet, Jesus deeply welcomes him. Is it not deeply welcoming to reach into a person's deformed understanding and drop their good news of eternal life? To Nicodemus, Jesus gives words beyond his understanding, words beyond his imagination, words that are above all the most thrilling. Hear it. For God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son. And God sent him into the world not to condemn the world, but so that through him the world might be saved. When Jesus opens the door to Nicodemus, he begins to draw him into a whole new world. While the story, most subtle, best hung human brains cannot comprehend God, the story is less a criticism of Nicodemus than an illustration of who God is. From all the stories about Jesus that it would be possible to write, this one is chosen because it tells us something about Jesus' ministry that otherwise we would not know, and because it